Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, MtoA 530, I will be continuing on the Orc series. This will be the final part where I'll be showing you some light rigs and I will be maybe fine-tuning some of the shaders. I'm not 100% sure yet. If you just tuned in and you didn't follow along, this Orc was a sponsored model by Eduardo. He's a very talented artist on ArtStation. Give his channel a like, follow him on ArtStation, check out his artwork. He's super friendly and has lots of talent. And he was kind enough to actually provide the model and the textures for free, so you can download them on the link in the description below. And if you want to get access to this scene file, which I've been working on the past few series, you can check me out on Patreon, where I have all these source files available for you to pick up. You have access to all the previous tutorials as well, and get those source files as well if you sign up for the source files material tier. So be sure to check that out if you're interested. And obviously, if you like what I do, I would appreciate any support you can get on Patreon. Super helpful stuff. I am on social media, Instagram. If you like it, I appreciate it if you would follow me here. I am always posting some pictures of Vancouver, or when we travel, or just some kind of random renderings. And then obviously my YouTube channel. And again, I said that before many times, I think. So if you like what I do, subscribe to my channel and support me right here on YouTube. I really appreciate that. All right, so this is what we have, and what we started or left off the last time is pretty much a shaded version of this orc. And what we want to do now is add some more dramatic lighting to this guy. So we have these kind of references, and I want to go for this kind of lighting, like more like actually this. I cannot move here, not sure why, but there we go. So it's some kind of lighting like this. It's like one kind of key hot light from the right, and then there is some kind of fire lighting, and then some super soft rim light which catches the hair on his shoulders. So I'm trying to get something similar. Obviously we will not match this, and then maybe one different light setup, maybe something like that, which is more heroed up, front lit filled in, some kind of key light from the back here which catches his temple and nose area, and then some kind of rim. So this is something which I have on my second monitor to keep track of the lighting. And yeah, so let's just start off with the first one with this fire lighting, and I think this is a good way to start. And how it looks, we have some kind of hot rim on hot key on his right, and then a softer fill on his shoulders. Before we do that, I just want to quickly jump through our cameras which we have here. So we have camera 1, we've got camera 2. I think we will go with this guy. 3 is that close-up, 4 is the other close-up, and 5 is a full shot. So I think we will work with number 2 for now, which is just a zoomed out version of what I have right now. And then we can just work on the lighting. So what I want to do first is reduce my skydome light, which is currently my studio setup. So I will not kill that completely, because I will just use that as my fill light. So let's just go maybe -2 stops here. So it should be fairly dark now, but there's just some kind of features retained. All right, so let's just create a light. So we go to the Arnold tab, switch to the lights section here, and just create an area light like so. And then I just want to go to panels and say look through selected. And now let's select the orc, hit F, and frame this guy. And now we can just freely rotate the light. I want it kind of lit on his temples or a bit on his nose. Zoom out a bit and maybe create a new perspective camera. so we do not interfere with our render camera. So this is currently the light source. You want to make sure that your light sources are pretty much to scale. Like if you want to mimic sunlight, this is fine, but if you want to have the soft area light, you just want to adjust that. So I want to switch to the lighting mode in the tab here. It's just a bit easier to light so you can see what you're doing. So I'm just increasing the light intensity in the area light. Maybe exposure up to 12 to see something happening here. We might go even a bit further. I'm just framing his head right now just to get a faster feedback. So maybe go up to 16. Okay, that's a bit hot, but we can work with that, I think. Maybe bring this around a bit more. Sometimes what I need to do is just reframe it on the orc so my pivot is set up correctly. There we go, that's better. So I just want to, catch his teeth, maybe his nose for sure. This is obviously now lighting. It's a creative process. It's you can just really move stuff around until you're happy. I think I like something catching some light on the teeth here. Obviously it's a bit strong, so let's just dial down the exposure, maybe one stop down to 15. And then we want to go for some fire lighting. So you can use a temperature slot down here, or you can just plug in or use any color you want. Typically I stay in the temperature range, like Kelvin range, but if you want sometimes more yellow light, you can just do that as well, obviously. So this might be a bit too yellow. Let's just bring some saturation in here. Maybe go a bit more orange. That's too much. Yeah, something like that. Maybe saturate it some more. Okay, I think that works well. So this would be our key light, which is from the right. Maybe go a bit higher. And then I want to introduce some kind of fill which catches maybe his cheekbone, just some kind of highlight right there. So I will just be duplicating this light, Control D it, and then I do look through selected through that light, and then I'll just move that around so we just get some kind of specular response on his cheekbones. I think let's just move that around like that. Maybe is it not updating? There we go. And obviously we want to go a lot lower, maybe 12, maybe even 10. And what I want to do as well is I want to focus the beam, so I want to reduce the spread maybe to 0.3, which is very angled now, so it's not as like spread out as the other one was. Like that. So this is now a bit softer. Let's just make this even smaller so we get stronger pings off his face. And I think we need to definitely desaturate this, and we also need to reduce the intensity. It's still way too bright. Maybe go down to 6. And sometimes what helps, currently I'm still using the adaptive, so I just disable that actually, and maybe progressive 2, and then I bring back the progressive refinement here, and let's see if this is a bit faster or a bit more interactive now. Let's see. I think it is a bit better to work with. So now we can slide and it's not as laggy. Okay, so let's just keep that for now, maybe 0.7, and then I want to bring in this bigger, softer rim light from the back. So I just duplicate one more time. This time I scale the light fairly big like this, and then I go behind his shoulder with that from the top, and then let's just see that we get this working. Let's just bring up the intensity to 12, maybe 14, and go back to a white color, and then we just use the Kelvin instead now. So we use maybe 8000 for that Kelvin value, which is a blue. So now we have this kind of appeal to them. So we've got this soft light now hitting his back. We want to maybe angle it a bit to the side and a bit up, so we catch maybe his cheekbones, just to give some kind of structure to his face. We might even swing it around a bit more and down, so we kind of hit these beard stubbles, so just to get a bit more lighting, a bit more shaping on his face. And yeah, let's see what this guy looks like now in shaded mode. Okay, definitely way too dark, but we still have that fill light, which I want to use, so that's why I had this dialed down a bit, but we can definitely bring it up now. We've got so many things in here now. Just cleaning up the shading network quickly, because there's too much stuff which shouldn't be here. All these guys, let's just minus them out. Okay, so the fill light, I think it was 2. Yeah, let's just bring in intensity here. So just that we fill in some kind of light in his face. But obviously we do not want to go too strong here. So maybe 9. Maybe, yeah, let's just desaturate it to keep it almost white. Like that. And then we can just bring it up maybe to 10. Just to fill in his shadow side. And then let's see. I think it's a bit too yellow, his key light, and it's maybe too small, like too sharp in angle. So let's just bring that scale up. It also helps softening out the roughness and everything. And I think we should just move this around a bit more. So let's just look through that light. We can also isolate it, I think. Just try that. So that's now the light isolated. Yeah, so I'm just swinging it around more so we see it more in his face. And you can see the nice scattering effect on his teeth. Works super well. So let's remove the select isolated mode. Let's see. So you can see lighting is a bit trial and error, but I think we got something. Now his little chains are lit up too. I think it's just a bit too saturated, so let's just reduce the saturation on him. And maybe reduce the key light, the rim light intensity as well. Super strong. Let's go maybe to 13. One step down. I think that works better. And let's just see how he looks now once it's rendered. All right, so that's the first pass lighting, and I think it looks fairly well already. He might be a bit too too wet looking, just too shiny. So we'll be tweaking that a bit, and I'll also be tweaking the scattering. I think that's a bit too strong too. So let's just focus on this little area here and tweak the shaders a bit. So let's just go into the specular roughness of the body. We go into the roughness tab, and we have our color correct. Let's just actually go to the body here and just see where we are. We go to the specular roughness, which goes down to this guy. So that's a color correct node, which is driven by the mud. So this is our default one, I think. Yeah, so just by tweaking that little thing, you can already see now he's not as sweaty anymore, and I think it works just a bit better overall. And then the next thing what I wanted to do is just change the the subsurface scattering, especially the radius. I think that color in there is way too red. So let's just definitely desaturate that. Yeah, that's a lot better. So it's not as red in his eyelids. And then we might to dial it down slightly, 0.75 maybe. So we just do not scatter as heavy as before. I think it just might help him overall a bit. Just not to go like so nuclear red. Maybe slight more now. Yeah, I think that's okay. And then one thing I noticed, I think the teeth are as well a bit too strong. So I'm just reducing the IOR and the scatter scale as well, maybe 0.7. So they're not bleeding as much. Let's see this one. We can go even a bit lower, maybe 0.05. Yeah, that's definitely better. And then what else? There was one more thing I think I noticed. Let's quickly think about it. So the specular roughness as well, like it's way too wet looking here. So let's just isolate it quickly and see what the red channel looks on this. So yeah, it's just way too pingy. Like everything is just fully shiny. So let's just create an input min 0.1 maybe, so we just have some values here. Let's see how that looks. Maybe go a bit higher, 0.3, 0.2, 0.25. Yeah, that's better. Let's see how bad the teeth are now. I think they still work. Yeah. All right. What else can we tweak? I think the metal is fine. It looks still like a painted metal, but I think that's all right. This got a lot rougher now, which is cool. His ears should be better. Looks more human now. Okay, so one thing what I always like to do is add a depth of field to my renders. So what I typically do, I have this little preset thing, but all it's doing is measuring the distance between a locator and the camera. So what I tend to do, I just create a locator and I move it up where I want the image to be in focus. And 99% you want the eyes to be in focus, just because that's how humans work. They look other in the faces and just focus there. So that's typically what I always do. Just choose one eye, which is always in focus. I like to use this eye actually, and just place it right on the lens here. And then what I do, I measure the distance, or you can bring up the display and heads-up display and object details, and you get the distance from camera. You can see this value changes as I zoom in and out. But what I always do, I have a little thing in my light shader tool scripts, which is called focus rig. And what it does, it creates a little constraint to the camera and to the render camera, and just plugs in the distance directly in here. So I always have the correct distance to my character. And this is now what it looks like. If I go to the basic mode, you can now see that the background gets blurred out. You can see the nice fall off here, and you can see the back one is out of focus. This one is in focus. The eye is in focus, and the ear gets slowly out of focus. So that's pretty much my setup. If I go back to shaded now, you can see how that looks. The eye is nice and sharp. The ear slowly fades out. And if you feel that this is too strong, you can just adjust the aperture, maybe go to 0.5, so it's not that in your face. And that's typically the setup I always do. So let's just see how that looks rendered. All right, so I rendered a few more snapshots with all the cameras in place. So based off the lighting we just did, this is pretty much the result for our little orc guy. So that's image number 1. Number 2 is a different angle, but you can see now this works, in my opinion, it works a lot better because we have a lot more light in his face. We got some nice subtle rims which just catches his hair like peach fuzz on his face. Then we have the first one just a lot closer, where you can also see how the lighting works. The displacement is everywhere, pretty much nice detail. We get a nice depth of field effect as well. And I think this one here is my favorite one, just because of the framing. You can see the teeth or the bone in the background there. You can see the nice glint on his teeth here, and everything works well. Even the displacement of the dirt, or it could also be paint or something, but all that works super well, I think. And then we have the front shot. So these are now all the 5 angles I rendered out, and I just think there's not enough time to just set up a new light rig, but you get the idea how it's supposed to work. You just add lights, you rotate them until you kind of get the result you want. And obviously what always helps is work with a reference image, like references in general, which just helps to give you the exact feel and result you want to want to retain, right? So if you like what I did here, I would really appreciate it if you could even share the video or just give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And I just wanted to flag again that I really appreciate what Eduardo did here. He gave this model out for free. I know he spent lots of time on this, and now he's making it available for you to use. So I really appreciate that help. And again, you can get the description, the download link in the description below. And yeah, this pretty much sums up this whole series which I plan out for you. I hope you liked it. And yeah, let me know in the comments if you want to see more like these kind of collaborations with different artists, so we always have some nice objects to work from. And again, all these scene files, the high-res renders will be in the Patreon tier if you want to have a look at that. So once again, I really want to thank you guys for your support, giving me all the motivation I need to create new content for you guys. So thank you guys, and I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye.